Fossilized forest discovered in Antarctica is one of the most remarkable and mysterious archaeological findings of modern times. This discovery prompts deep reflections on the ancient past of this icy continent and encourages us to reconsider our perceptions of the climate millions of years ago. It is hard to imagine that, in distant times, Antarctica could have existed in a climate comparable to the warmth of modern Italy, lush with greenery, abundance, and life. Based on this discovery, scientists confirm that the current average temperature at the pole is about 6 degrees Celsius, while around 90 million years ago, it could have reached 30 degrees, creating conditions for lush vegetation and a diverse ecosystem. Marine geologist Johan Pickles, the author and participant in the excavations, reports that during those eras, Antarctica was covered with dense forests, rich in flora, and inhabited by a variety of fauna, including dinosaurs. The fossils found by him and his team were not discovered on land, but in marine deposits deep underwater, in an area that once featured a rich, forested landscape. In 1941, a team of scientists uncovered fossilized tree roots dating back approximately 90 million years. Recently, a group of researchers from Brazil made another significant discovery. They found remnants of ancient charcoal formed under the same conditions as the Antarctic fossil forests. About 75 million years ago, the planet experienced major climate changes that led to the extinction of primitive forests and a significant transformation of the global ecosystem. Fragments of coal found in various layers of soil testify to this, confirming that Earth underwent global climate transformations at that time. Scientists believe that, despite current climatic conditions, our planet could again undergo similar changes. One possible scenario is the return of Antarctica to conditions of humid tropical forests, similar to today's Amazon rainforest, teeming with greenery and diverse living creatures. Meanwhile, scientific research into extraterrestrial life continues unabated. The search for potential signs of life on Mars, the most mysterious and intriguing planet beyond Earth, has already begun. There is no need to leave our planet for this. It's enough to explore one of the world's harshest and driest deserts, the Atacama in Chile, which is considered one of the most Mars-like landscapes on Earth. This region is characterized by its endless barrenness and extreme conditions, where any explorer might feel as if they were on another planet. In 1912, researcher Lucas Horstmann and his team undertook an expedition across these dead sands, noting that the surrounding landscape bears a striking resemblance to Mars, even without specialized suits. It was in the Atacama sands that they made a discovery that radically changed our understanding of the possibility of finding life beyond Earth. Despite the seemingly lifeless environment, microscopic organisms were found beneath the cracked Earth's crust. They took shelter under a layer of parched soil at depths of more than 3 meters, clinging to life in conditions that appeared nearly impossible, under the scorching sun and with almost no moisture. This breakthrough became a true milestone for science and prompted experts to reevaluate many of their assumptions about where life could exist. If some microorganisms can survive so deep underground in the Atacama conditions, who knows what might be hidden beneath a thin layer of Martian dust? Perhaps entire ecosystems are concealed there, waiting to be discovered. Such a scenario requires the development and implementation of special technologies capable of detecting and studying these secluded habitats. This might involve using an unusual marine robot equipped with a miniature shovel, or even deploying innovative devices like MetaDemon, a system with unique survival and analysis capabilities in extreme conditions. Exploring such harsh desert terrains is not only a challenge for scientists, but also a complex and labor-intensive process. Imagine that, to gather new data, they have to dig deep inside a vast furnace, where the sunlight floods everything with ultraviolet rays, making each move incredibly crucial and patience-demanding. Unraveling these mysteries, understanding which life persists in the most extreme conditions outside and inside, is a task that requires the utmost diligence and ingenuity from modern researchers. Harsman and his team fought daily against the solid, crystal-like surface of the Earth's crust, breaking through the slightest cracks and crevices in search of the secrets of the underground world. After several weeks of relentless effort, they finally reached their goal, the area that previously seemed unreachable, almost unattainable in their dreams. On the surface, they found only remnants of life, ordinary bacteria inhabiting the sparse sands of the Atacama Desert. However, as they delved deeper into the Earth's layers, a mysterious and inexplicable underground world unfolded before the scientists' eyes, becoming increasingly enigmatic and unusual. Within this subterranean realm, microscopic life thrived in a completely unique micro-ecosystem that had never been encountered before on the surface. It turns out that the conditions beneath Mars' surface, and even more severe than in the Atacama regions, pose a true challenge to any living organism. It is not only terrifyingly cold, but also exposed to ultraviolet radiation, so intense and destructive that it can scorch a human faster than a pizza, baked in an oven heated to 260 degrees Celsius. Such exposure resembles being in a frozen microwave, horrifying and merciless. Nevertheless, deep within the Earth, everything may be completely different, and perhaps these mysteries are hidden right there, inside the depths. Harsman suggests that the gypsum minerals discovered by his team in the Atacama Desert could hold the key to solving this enigma. If even tiny organisms can survive in gypsum beneath the Earth's surface, then who knows? Perhaps such life exists deep beneath the Martian crust. It's possible that someday an astronaut equipped with the right shovel and patience may find the answer that has eluded scientists so far. The story continues to take us to a ghostly base in Antarctica, a unique place covered in icy darkness and cold, where an abandoned research station is located. This station, known as Gallia, has stood on the Brant ice shelf since the mid-20th century, and despite all the hardships, still performs its scientific functions, albeit in a very limited capacity. Over the years, the station has been moved and even reconstructed multiple times. Enormous ice cracks and the continual expansion of fissures threaten to destroy and swallow this scientific outpost without warning. The most serious event occurred in 1985, when the so-called ozone holes, opaque, black holes in the ozone layer, were first discovered there, serving as an important and alarming signal about the state of the atmosphere. By 2017, to prevent destruction from new cracks, the mobile parts of the station were relocated just 19 kilometers from its original position, and the original plan was entirely abandoned. Since then, it has been able to operate only part of the year because, during the Antarctic winter with its endless, impenetrable darkness, the station is powered by generators, allowing scientists from the UK to manage and monitor the ongoing processes remotely, without being on site. Today, this ghostly, nearly abandoned base remains at times a shadow of itself, yet it continues to quietly carry out vital research in the icy void. Among the discoveries made there are fossils, evidence of giant birds belonging to the family pterogens, now extinct along with the dinosaurs. These birds once ruled the skies of the southern seas, with wingspans reaching 6 to 14 meters, twice the wingspan of the largest modern seabirds, such as albatrosses. For approximately 60 million years, these giants dominated the oceans of the southern hemisphere, and their appearance in the geological record is first documented just 1 million years after the dinosaurs vanished. A very short time in the scale of long-term evolution. Researcher Peter Klaus from the University of California, Berkeley, states that pterogens had no equals for millions of years as the dominant predators of the oceans. Part 4 of 41. With beaks featuring sharp, bony protrusions resembling teeth, these birds have outpaced all their competitors, becoming true sky sharks whose entrance was almost impossible to surpass. Although these formations were not real teeth, but rather consisted of keratinous structures, they had such a sinister and intimidating appearance that they could instill fear in anyone who accidentally ventured into their territory. In the heart of the vast sugar desert, where the sands seem endless and silent, lies a truly remarkable creation by human hands. These are two gigantic carved stone figures sculpted approximately 7,000 years ago, known as Gebel el-Faum. These stone giants are the largest ancient carved representations of animals still preserved today, inspiring genuine awe with their scale and historical significance. Giraffes and duzas are among the greatest of known stone statues carved in antiquity, created about 5,000 years ago, during a time when this land was lush with greenery and covered by a rich savanna. In those eras, metals, modern tools, and electricity were unknown. However, if we accept as true the popular, though controversial, theories about the interference of ancient extraterrestrials, some mysteries might acquire a different meaning. Otherwise, one could assume that Stone Age artists, armed only with flint and petrified wood, managed to craft these astonishing giraffe figures, reaching over 5 meters in height. Carving them so skillfully in hard rocks was a true feat, demanding patience and exceptional skill. Every detail, spots reminiscent of leopards and large expressive eyes, was executed with particular care and precision. But a logical question arises. Why depict giraffes specifically, and why place them on such a cliff that only those brave and prepared enough to climb there could see them? Researchers suggest that these figures were equally sacred and symbolic for ancient peoples. Perhaps the giraffe's long neck and enormous eyes represented a connection to higher worlds, to spirits and spiritual visions. These figures could have served as talismans or spiritual tokens, highly revered by shamans and priests conducting vital rituals and spiritual ceremonies. Today, alongside these ancient sites, the Tuareg people live. Despite the centuries and changes, they maintain respect for these monuments. But the carved images of giraffes appeared long before the Tuareg tribes, serving as a unique testament to the region's long history. In the 20th century, in the year 2000, archaeologists discovered traces of an ancient lake in the Aya region, north of the modern city of Odessa. It turned out that these lands in ancient times were home to two Stone Age cultures, the Kephians and the Tenorians, each leaving behind a distinct legacy. The Kefi people inhabited these lands approximately 10,000 years ago, and were tall, strong individuals who hunted in the lush, green plains of the Sahara. About 8,000 years later, the Tenorian people appeared, shorter in stature and suffering from various illnesses, indicating changing living conditions and the health of the population. Both cultures left behind unique artifacts, pottery, tools, and burial sites, serving as evidence of their spiritual and religious practices. It was these ancient craftsmen, despite their biographies and names remaining unknown, who became the first artists in human history, creating works of art from stone and clay. Unfortunately, the identity of those who carved these mysterious giraffe sculptures, if known at all, is likely to remain forever hidden beneath silent layers of sand, concealing memories of a distant era. The recent rains, washing over this land, erased all traces of greenery and life from the walls and images, leaving only a sandy desert resembling a fortress guarding its silent history. On the northwest edge of Saudi Arabia, At an altitude of about 550 meters above sea level, lie the remains of an ancient fortress, the Murad Castle. These ruins are located in the ancient city of Dumat al-Jandal, once a vital strategic point in the heart of the desert. The castle, resembling a massive sandy hill frozen in time, keeps silent about the numerous bloody conflicts that erupted here nearly 2,000 years ago. Outwardly, this ancient fort appears to be abandoned and ruined, covered with a layer of age-old sand, as if nature itself chose to leave it untouched, preserving memories of tumultuous times only in its quiet shadows. Beneath this fragile and seemingly non-functional exterior lies a story rich with blood, swords, and battles. Ancient records mention that this castle was built around the 2nd or 3rd century AD, long before Queen Zenobia of Palmyra began her campaign to suppress the rebellion in Duma. This monument was part of a powerful system of fortifications designed to defend borders and serve as a rallying point in the challenging conditions of that era. When her army reached this region, they faced imposing walls, Murad Castle, which stood as an insurmountable barrier, deterring any assault. The twists of history led to the fact that the queen, who conquered Egypt in AD 270 and ruled over a vast territory, could not foresee the difficulties associated with this small but strategically important site in the arid desert. Ultimately, tired of futile attempts to take it, she acknowledged defeat and, in AD 27, proclaimed her son emperor, passing on power and hopes for new victories. However, fate had other plans. Soon, in just a few months, she herself was captured by the Romans, sentenced, and spent the rest of her days in captivity in distant Rome. Meanwhile, during the early periods of Islamic history in the 6th century, Murad continued to fulfill important tasks, serving as a stronghold for new forces and ideas. But over time, this strategic site was abandoned, and it stood alone amid the endless sea of sand, like a reminder of past battles and great conflicts. It was immersed in silence, shaken by the passage of time and emptiness, surrounded only by the wind and the dunes, drifting across the vast desert. The story of the ghost ship Octavia draws us into a mysterious and even mystical realm of sea legends. This ship set out on a voyage from England to the Far East, and as it turned out, the journey was not merely dangerous, it became deadly. The traveler commanding the vessel decided to turn toward the Northwest Passage, believing it to be the optimal route. But this risky decision led to tragedy. Everyone on board disappeared without a trace. The ship became trapped in the icy waters north of Alaska and remained there for 13 years. It was discovered by chance on October 11, 1775, by the Gerald vessel drifting off the coast of Greenland. The ship was found completely frozen. The 28 crew members were immortalized in ice sculptures, literally frozen in their poses. Legend has it that the captain was found sitting at his desk in his cabin, pen in hand. He seemed to have been trying to write something but never finished. The ship's log ends in November 1762, indicating that Octavia had spent 12 years and 1 month in icy silence, frozen in time. Yet, despite numerous stories and rumors, no official confirmation of the existence of this ghost ship and its voyage has ever been found. Archives lack documents verifying its existence, aside from the legends passed down orally. After this incident, the Gerald vanished, as if dissolved into the northern mists, leaving behind only a myth of the ghost ship wandering the Arctic seas. It's said that it still eternally sails through the cold waters of the wilderness, drifting endlessly in the fog of the sea, never finding rest. Recently, archaeologists in Egypt made a sensational discovery: the world's oldest pet cemetery, located in the scorched sands of the Red Sea. There, dogs, monkeys, crocodiles, and baboons are buried, each in its own resting place. This site was created approximately 2,000 years ago, during a time when one of the largest port cities, Bonds, flourished nearby. The discovered burials are striking in their diversity and attention to detail. Beads have been preserved on the remains of animals. Some monkeys were buried with their favorite toys, and one dog was carefully wrapped in palm leaves, as if it were covered with a soft blanket, as though it remained loyal and beloved until the very end of its life. These findings leave no doubt that all the animals buried here were not merely victims or offerings, but genuine pets who were loved and valued. Archaeologist Dr. Marta Osypinska, representing the Polish Academy of Sciences, is confident that this ancient pet cemetery is not connected to religious rites or ritual sacrifices. Unlike other discoveries in Egypt, where mass burials of animals with signs of killing as part of cult ceremonies are often found, the remains in bones show signs of old age, illness, or injuries. All this suggests that these animals were kept with special love, and the burials were an expression of attachment and care, rather than sacrificial rituals as was customary in other eras and regions. Thanks to their meticulous and careful care, these animals likely endured until our days, preserving their lives and health across the centuries. The love and respect that the ancient Egyptians showed towards their pets were reflected in their attentive treatment and in the special reverence they held for them. These animals were more than just pets. They were considered family members and revered as sacred beings. If you are curious which animal was especially loved and revered among the ancient Egyptians, the answer seems obvious. Without a doubt, it was cats. They held a special place in people's hearts, and evidence of this is that about 90% of all known burial finds are cat burials. Many of these cats, even after thousands of years, still wear jewelry, bracelets, necklaces, and collars, often decorated with iron, beads, or bright glass inlays, demonstrating the respect and love of their owners. Second in popularity among domesticated animals buried within ancient Egyptian temples and palaces were dogs. They were often laid to rest in specially prepared ceramic jars or coffins, skillfully crafted by hand with neat, sometimes intricate designs. These coffins indicate that animals also received special ground or underground burials, highlighting their importance and personal attachment. Equally significant in ancient Egyptian life were monkeys. They were also kept at home. A recently discovered monkey among various artifacts, lying beside 3 kittens and a woven basket, along with 2 unique shells nearby, indicates that those houses were filled with a lively and vibrant atmosphere. One can imagine this cozy home, full of care and warmth, where fluffy and playful cats, alongside playful monkeys, frolicked and played, bringing joy to their owners. Archaeological excavations also uncovered a mysterious fox, possibly connected to an unsealed story, whose significance and fate are most likely to remain forever unknown. Undoubtedly, among the found artifacts are images of hawks, birds that were a sacred symbol of ancient Egyptian culture, representing divine power and authority. An interesting discovery was a fragment of ancient pottery, on which a message may have been inscribed approximately 2,000 years ago. This suggests that even then, people showed concern for animals left unattended. In those distant times, despite their hardships and difficult conditions, people sought reliable and responsible helpers to ensure the well-being of their pets. These small tomb tablets and simple shards left after ritual burials remind us that love and care for furry friends is not a recent development, but part of a centuries-old human tradition. In another case, at the bottom of a frozen quarry in the southeastern part of Manitoba, an incidental discoverer came across an unusual bone that initially seemed unremarkable. It was only later that it became clear that this find belonged to a giant creature that once inhabited North America during the Ice Age. This creature was larger than a modern black bear and posed a real danger to humans. However, it turned out to be an ancient beaver, the ancestor of the modern beaver. At first, the man thought he had found a pig's bone when he noticed a tooth resembling a tusk. But upon closer inspection, he sent the discovery for analysis to a museum. Local scientists conducted a thorough analysis, and to their surprise, it was confirmed to be evidence of a giant beaver. Few have heard of this extraordinary animal, and this discovery was only the fourth evidence of its existence in Canada throughout the history of archaeological excavations. Compared to modern beavers, the ancient relative was truly enormous. Modern beavers can easily bite through a person's hand with their sharp teeth, but their ancestors had even more powerful jaws capable of delivering a deadly bite. An ancient beaver could reach a length of about 1 meter and 18 centimeters and weigh over 130 kilograms, significantly exceeding the size of modern representatives of this species. These giants disappeared approximately 10,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age, leaving behind many mysteries about those who once ruled the frozen rivers and lakes. They were called nomads, yet in reality, these people were the first to build multi-story houses similar in design to modern apartments. They constructed grand cemeteries and surrounded their cities with walls nearly 14 kilometers long. These people were truly not just travelers or hunters. They acted as skilled builders, creating sustainable cities and complex settlements. The city they founded was divided into several zones: residential areas, political centers, and large necropolises serving as sites for memorials and ancestral remembrance. This complex organization indicates a developed society where there was room not only for daily life but also for culture, religion, and governance. It was a city of the early Bronze Age, a unique model of society from those distant times where inhabitants not only lived but also actively manufactured metal tools such as axes and daggers. Over the course of their lives, they mastered skills to protect their achievements from possible invaders or enemies. Remarkably, this ancient site had no existing ruling class, no kings, no nobility, no signs of social hierarchy. Instead, a small community thrived here, living in a state of equality, sharing responsibilities and benefits equally. Looking at fragments of pottery found at this location, it becomes evident that social stratification was minimal or altogether absent. The entire life was lived in an atmosphere of simplicity and harmony. This consistently evokes a true utopia, where each person participated in a common cause, living in harmony and trust with one another. But why did the history of Ada remain hidden from the world for so long? Why was it discovered only recently? The fact is, this city was concealed under a thick layer of volcanic ash, creating a natural camouflage that made it virtually invisible to explorers and archaeologists for millennia. Only thanks to modern satellite technology and high-precision mapping was it possible to detect the rare traces hidden underground. Satellite images revealed unusual structural features, leading scientists to learn about this great forgotten city. Dr. Ganal, who supervised the excavations, notes that the volcanic ash covering the site created unique conditions for the preservation of archaeological artifacts. These natural protective layers securely preserved the heritage stored in antiquity, transforming it into a misty monument capable of telling stories of past eras. Thanks to this time spent in peace and harmony, the inhabitants of Adi did not rush to build large urban structures. Their development was slow, patient, and measured, which contributed to the creation of a sustainable and prosperous community. Gradually, this city became an example of stability, flourishing in harmony with the surrounding nature. Modern researchers are unsure of what exactly happened to this ancient society. It is believed that around 4,000 to 3,500 years ago, that is, between the 10th and 13th centuries BCE, the city was abandoned. Over time, its territory was covered with sand, and it disappeared from the horizon, as if dissolving into the lush sands of the desert. no traces of military conflicts or natural disasters have been recorded. The disappearance happened, so to speak, quietly and imperceptibly. Nevertheless, all that they left behind is a rich archaeological layer filled with evidence of the life, wisdom, and hope of those distant times. Every artifact found contains a wise lesson about the true utopia, a society where equality, harmony, and inner peace prevailed. Regarding the legends of Hitler's icy base, despite numerous rumors and assumptions, there is currently no convincing evidence that Adolf Hitler ever built secret shelters or bases in Antarctica. However, for many, the absence of clear proof does not mean the absence of fact. In the 1930s, the Nazis exhibited a special, almost obsessive interest in the mysterious continent and planned to explore it as thoroughly and long as possible. In December 1938, they even sent a small expedition to study the northern regions of Antarctica and to solidify their claims to territories already belonging to Norwegian explorers. However, this mission ended in failure, and with the outbreak of war on the European front, Germany no longer had the means to continue exploring the southern latitudes. The whole story becomes even more complicated and mysterious due to a rumor that surfaced in 1945 about a country hidden behind an icy veil. According to this unofficial information, Hungarian immigrant Licella Sable claimed in one of the Argentine newspapers that he possessed exclusive knowledge about what had happened. He stated that on July 10, 1945, a German U-boat numbered U-3530 docked at one of the Argentine military bases. This submarine, as was claimed, was transporting Hitler and his companion Eva Braun, as well as possibly other high-ranking officials. According to Sable's version, Hitler was taken to a secret base located somewhere in Antarctica, in a remote area surrounded by eternal ice. He presumably spent his final days in complete solitude there, surrounded by this harsh yet extraordinarily beautiful icy landscape, along with Eva Braun, who, according to rumors, also found herself in this hidden corner of the planet, trying to preserve her identity and escape pursuit. Despite the intrigue of this story, there is no evidence to confirm the existence of an Antarctic base or Hitler's last whereabouts. Information about such secret sites remains part of myths and legends, as there are no confirmed data supporting their existence to this day. However, the icy expanses of Antarctica continue to hold many mysteries and unresolved secrets, hiding stories beneath their impenetrable layers of ice and snow that are yet to be uncovered. Perhaps deep beneath the massive layers of eternal ice, there lies an answer to the most significant and unbreakable secret of our time. In the barren regions between Israel and Jordan, archaeologists have made truly astonishing discoveries that challenge our view of history. Among the findings were fragments of silk and cotton fabrics dating back over 3,000 years. These remnants of ancient textiles are not just pieces of cloth, but serve as evidence that the legendary Silk Road once ran through this land. A vast trade and cultural route connecting the East and the West. This route stretched from distant China across deserts and mountain ranges, linking the prosperous cities of ancient civilizations with Europe. The Silk Road was not only a transportation artery for precious goods such as silk, spices, and gemstones, but also a vital cultural bridge that facilitated the exchange of knowledge, art, and religion. Thanks to this route, active exchange of not only commodities, but also ideas, beliefs, and technologies occurred, significantly contributing to the development of civilization as a whole. Despite the fall of great empires and the tests of time, the Silk Road did not disappear entirely. Even during periods when the Roman Empire was collapsing, Europe was ravaged by plague, and Mongol armies destroyed entire states. The trade route persisted in its painstaking work. Fabrics found in the Arava Desert date back to the 6th century AD, Their patterns and ornaments match completely with frescoes and images found in China and India, leaving no doubt about their origin and confirming the importance of the Silk Road as not only a trade route, but also a vibrant cultural bridge between East and West. Silk threads were also discovered in the Ajanta caves in India, indicating that these textiles originated precisely from India. It is likely that these threads were sent from India to ancient Nubia, located south of Egypt, and lost in the deserted, seemingly forgotten desert, becoming part of stories preserved in silence within the ancient layers of the earth to this day. In this silence, deep within the primordial nature, lies the still hidden story of the Golden Age, when unseen yet effective pathways connected the entire world of that time, creating invisible threads that linked civilizations. Another vivid symbol of this era, and a reminder of centuries long past, is the frozen Brazilian yacht named Morsvim, which translates as Endless Sea. Originally, this yacht boasted its unquestionable status and belonged to a well-known Brazilian journalist and businessman, João Lara Mosquito. In April 2012, during a documentary expedition in the icy waters of Antarctica, the vessel encountered tragedy. It was wrecked. On that day, April 17th, while anchored in Maxwell Bay, a powerful hurricane struck it, with wind gusts reaching over 40 knots and waves nearly 2 meters high. This storm was so intense that the vessel was overturned, leaving the crew in extreme danger. 4 team members had to urgently send a distress signal to avoid an invisible icy trap that could have buried them forever beneath a thick layer of ice. Fortunately, the Chilean Navy base responded in time to aid them, preventing a catastrophe. Sadly, however, the yacht itself could not survive. It sank, and the water surrounding it at a depth of 9 meters quickly froze into a thick ice crust covering the ship. Its hull cracked and broke apart, leaving it trapped beneath the icy surface. A haunting yet mysterious landscape visible through the transparent Antarctic ice. After nearly 10 months, when the ice shelf melted and the ice disappeared, a long and complex effort was undertaken to retrieve the sunken vessel. But due to serious damage sustained during its submerged time and numerous cracks, the hull became unusable and irreparable. Thus, this story ended definitively, remaining in memory as a symbol of an era when invisible pathways connected distant regions and created an unseen thread of shared historical heritage. The yacht was unexpectedly pulled ashore, leaving only piles of shattered debris, evidence that once it was a mighty entity. Its fate, seemingly long predetermined, and the remnants of its body scattered across the sands, forever serve as a reminder of a bygone age. Subsequently, like a diamond encased by the scarcity of time, it was salvaged for scrap metal, much like how ancient sea giants, the monstrous creatures of antiquity, were disposed of in ancient times. In the Atacama Desert, the driest place on the planet, Chilean scientists made a remarkable discovery. They found the bones of one of the most formidable marine predators that once inhabited Earth's waters. Among the scorched and exposed rocks of this harsh wasteland, in the long, dried-up remnant of what was once part of the Pacific Ocean, archaeologists discovered an astonishing fossil find: the remains of a marine predator from ancient times. This creature was a plesiosaur, a distant relative of the killer whale, endowed with a colossal bite force that rivaled even that of the Tyrannosaurus rex. These ancient monsters ruled the oceanic depths approximately 1,600 million years ago, dominating the seas with their massive bodies. The archaeologists found a fragment of this marine reptile's jaw, a single tooth, and several bones that likely belonged to its limbs. According to Rodrigo Atera, a scientist from the University of Chile, the plesiosaur had an enormous skull with blade-like teeth designed for slicing prey. Its four limbs had transformed into powerful flippers, allowing it to move freely through the aquatic environment. In appearance and strength, its image resembled modern-day formidable marine predators, such as the giant sperm whale or orca. Rodrigo adds that the Atacama Desert is a unique archaeological gold mine, hiding countless ancient remains, thousands, perhaps millions of fossilized skeletons of long-extinct species. Every layer of sand, every rock here could be a doorway into a lost, bygone world, a place where inaccessible and distant cliffs guard their ancient secrets. Moving a little further, on the Croatian coast, rises one of the most famous cities, Dubrovnik. This ancient fortress stands proudly and unyieldingly, despite centuries of brutal sieges and trials. The stone walls surrounding the city have witnessed numerous events, from fierce medieval invasions to destructive bombings during the Napoleonic Wars and modern conflicts. Even after long centuries, these defensive structures have remained intact and resilient against adversity. Initially, in the 6th century, the city had only small limestone and stone fortifications. However, as threats and dangers risking its existence grew, the local inhabitants were forced to develop a more serious defensive system. By the 10th century, Dubrovnik could boast walls reaching 25 meters in height and about 6 meters thick, reinforced with towers and bastions, structures capable of withstanding assaults even from the most prepared enemy armies. On June 13, 800 AD, the Saracens laid siege to the city for 15 months, a trial of resilience that few modern armies could endure, holding back the enemy's advance. Yet, thanks to the bravery of the defenders and strategic mastery, Dubrovnik withstood and did not fall, ultimately lifting the siege only after the Venetian fleet, led by Emperor Vasily I, broke through its defenses. Later, in the 9th century, in the year 118, an attempt by the Serbian prince Stefan Nemanja to capture the city was repelled, despite the fact that he managed to breach part of the defenses. Moreover, despite all the challenges, the city was able to preserve its independence and strengthen its fortifications to resist new threats. In the year 120, under external pressure, it was forced to surrender during the Fourth Crusade and became a vassal of Venice. However, by the 10th year of the following century, it regained its freedom and autonomy, fortifying its borders and walls in preparation for future challenges. Over the centuries, Ottoman troops repeatedly attempted to take the city, for example in 1498, but all their efforts were thwarted by the defenders. In the early 19th century, the city suffered from attacks by Russian forces, but was liberated and occupied by the French in 1814. Later, it became the target of bombardments by the British fleet, which forced the French to capitulate. It seemed that with the arrival of the 20th century, dangers were a thing of the past, and nothing prevented this city from developing peacefully. But the Croatian War of Independence changed everything. Yugoslav forces ruthlessly bombed Dubrovnik, causing significant destruction, including damage to nearly 5/8 of its monuments and historic buildings. Despite all these trials, the passage of time and the destruction, the city remains one of the most beautiful and majestic monuments of world culture and history. Today, its walls serve not only as a formidable defense protecting the interior from external influences, but also as a living monument to the rich and important history of this city. These structures are a kind of historical symbols, vivid testaments to the strength and resilience of a place that has repeatedly faced hardships and trials, but has always found the strength to overcome them and continue to exist. Our story revolves around two individuals who managed to outsmart the most advanced and powerful technologies, namely Google, and through their own experience, uncovered the secrets of an almost secret military base located in the deserted, arid Nevada desert. Satellite images available on Google Maps had long been blurred and outdated, making it impossible to obtain current information about the concealed facility. This site, the Tonopah Testing Range, remained a mystery for many years. For 8 years, this zone was completely hidden and inaccessible to both ordinary internet users and even representatives of the United States government. However, two people, an engineer named Trevor Paglin and a writer named Brandon Byrne, were not willing to accept the status quo. When Google refused to update its maps, they decided to act on their own, without waiting for the situation to change on its own. As a result, through no small effort, they purchased satellite images from a private company called Apollon Mapping for just over $2,000, $1,884.15. Justifying such a cost made sense, as the funds were used to obtain information of national importance that could shed light on hidden military facilities. However, even here, a legal complication arose: the presence of a license on the images which restricted access to the obtained footage. Their rights to this information were narrowly limited, and they could only use it within their own organization. Consequently, comrades Paglin and Byrne decided to devise a clever way to share and showcase their findings without breaking the law. They organized a closed meeting in New York City, where each participant was strictly required to sign an agreement imposing certain restrictions. In particular, those who signed agreed to temporarily work for a non-profit organization called IBM, which allowed them to legally view and discuss the latest satellite images of the secret base. Paglin and Byrne believed that the lack of updated photographs was connected to government censorship or control. However, Google offered a less dramatic explanation. A company representative stated that they simply forgot to update the images of that area. According to him, Google updates maps regularly only for territories of high interest, areas with many searches or suspicious activity. Fortunately, interest in Tonopah, where the base was located, was low, which was the reason their plan succeeded. As a result, they obtained the clearest and freshest satellite images of the zone, considered one of the most secretive testing sites for new weapons and experimental military aircraft in America. Among them was the famous F-117 Nighthawk, the world's first stealth aircraft, celebrated as a technological and architectural breakthrough in aviation. If Batman existed in reality, he would gaze upon what they saw with admiration, and if he ever decided to join the Air Force, he would undoubtedly choose this very aircraft, which has long become a symbol of cutting-edge technology. Although Paglin and Byrne were unable to fully expose the grand conspiracy or access the most secret information, their actions granted the world a unique opportunity to glimpse an object long hidden from prying eyes. Yet, true major secrets remain concealed, deep underground, in numerous bunkers and underground complexes, beyond the reach of any satellite. Until revolutionary through-view technology is developed, these secrets will continue to stay in the shadows and remain beyond accessible knowledge. One of the legendary stories related to Antarctica tells of the naval vessel HMS Endurance, which was lost over 100 years ago. In March 2022, its mysterious location was finally discovered. The ship resting more than 30 kilometers beneath the surface of the Southern Ocean. The search for this legendary vessel is considered one of the most difficult and complex in maritime history. The fate of HMS Endurance begins with an Antarctic expedition conducted in 1915 under the leadership of the famous Sir Ernest Shackleton. This expedition entered history as one of the most daring and perilous, demonstrating the determination and engineering resilience of its participants. During this exciting expedition, the crew's destiny was tested once again. Their ship, trapped in the mighty ice cover, was crushed and sank, carried away by the powerful ice of the southern seas. Over 107 years passed, and only in March 2022 did a team dedicated to searching for sunken treasures and historical relics finally locate the lost vessel. It was an event worthy of a grand archaeological discovery. Describing the object they found, researchers noted that it is perhaps the best preserved wooden ship they have ever seen. Its extraordinary preservation was explained by the harsh climate. The coldest waters of the Antarctic region almost entirely suppress the growth of aquatic organisms capable of destroying wood. Therefore, despite the passing centuries, the ship remained virtually untouched, retaining even the tiniest details. The name, now clearer than ever, is still legible on the stern, as if frozen in time. This remarkable preservation is the result of the absence of wood-eating organisms in these icy waters, a discovery that excited scientists. They were amazed to find that, instead of the usual decay and destruction, the hull of the vessel was covered with a thick layer of ascidians and sponges, giving it a mysterious and almost mystical appearance. It has now become a silent witness to a distant era, resting on the bottom of the frozen ocean, where time seems to have stood still. To add even more vivid detail to the story of ancient technologies found in Libya, there, on the Mediterranean coast, lies the mysterious city of Talalamis, keeper of secrets that attract researchers. For many years, archaeologists studied its densely settled layers, and during their exploration, discovered astonishing findings. A mysterious mask, complex water supply systems, and traces of beliefs that predate the emergence of classical Greek culture. After more than 10 years of neglect caused by various conflicts, scientists returned to Talalamis in the 1920s and 1930s. But despite all their efforts, they encountered only new puzzles and even more questions than answers. Part 17 of 41, founded in ancient times during the era of the Baroque dynasty, the city initially began as an important port, an essential hub for trade routes within the Barca region. Under Roman rule, it transformed into a thriving commercial center. However, a tragic earthquake that struck in the year 365 almost completely destroyed it. The city was rebuilt multiple times, but could never regain its former glory and scale. For centuries, it remained in ruins until archaeological expeditions resumed and began uncovering its secrets. During excavations, archaeologists discovered the ruins of a Roman villa with a kitchen area, a spacious courtyard, and rich mosaics depicting intricate geometric patterns. A remarkable find was the presence of a rainwater collection system, unique for the region, comprising 2 containers connected by special channels. This ingenious technical solution was adapted to the harsh climatic conditions of Libya's eastern coast, where rain is rare and valuable. During the excavations, scientists also uncovered another mysterious artifact, a mask carved from hydraulic plaster and painted on the wall. It was an enigmatic face, whose features remain unclear to this day. It is presumed to have been part of secret religious rituals practiced in antiquity, but its full meaning has yet to be deciphered. The mask's features evoke comparisons with sculptural representations found in Sloon, a sacred Berber site located a few hours away by car. This temple was dedicated not to Greek or Roman gods, but to local desert deities, illustrating the persistence of cultural traditions even after conquests and Roman domination. Temisa continued to exist, adhering to its ancient customs and harmoniously blending Berber traditions with Roman heritage. These archaeological discoveries confirm that Temisa was not merely a minor military or trading outpost, but a city with unique engineering ideas and a special spiritual atmosphere. Excavations are ongoing, and researchers hope to soon find on the Acropolis, rising nearly 300 meters above sea level, ruins of new fortifications, defensive towers, an ancient theater, and even a Roman hippodrome. Deep within the American desert, amidst the vast and lifeless Nevada landscape, there is a secret base located directly beneath the panoramic Pyramid Lake. Its mysterious nature has attracted attention from people around the world. This site, surrounded by legends and rumors, has become a hot topic on the internet, primarily due to a small, slightly blurry image that accidentally went online and sparked a wave of speculation and theories. Many pointed out that the faint shadow appearing beneath the water surface does not resemble an ordinary rock or natural object. Lacking a typical shape, it appears blurry and strange, as if part of something far more enigmatic. Some suggested that it was an underground military base, hidden from view by outsiders, while others believed that the photo captured an abandoned and sunken ship forgotten at the bottom of the lake. The second version seemed particularly appealing, as it was known to be located in the very heart of a desert that had long ceased to be a maritime coast. However, there were also those who believed in an archaeological explanation, suggesting that these were remnants of an ancient structure that had gone underwater hundreds of years ago. Stories claiming that the image depicts some ancient, sunken civilization are a popular topic among enthusiasts of mysterious antiquities. It all started with a simple photograph taken using Google Maps, which unexpectedly drew the close attention of experts and mystery enthusiasts. This blurriness of the form cannot be explained by natural features. It distinctly stands out against standard stones or rock formations and is completely disconnected from the surrounding natural structures. That's why, once the image entered the public domain, active investigations and discussions quickly began on the internet. During these debates, the idea emerged that it could be part of a US Navy underwater base or another military facility, located literally in the heart of the Nevada desert. It's astonishing that an underwater facility, created for secret operations, could be situated so far from any ocean or sea, since specialized conditions are necessary for underwater research and training. Nevertheless, not everyone shared the belief that this was a military object. Some argued that it was simply a long-sank and weathered vessel resting on the lake's bottom for many decades, covered in rust and remnants of sea life. Meanwhile, others held the theory that the image shows some ancient structure at the origins of human history, a nearly archaeological monument hidden underwater. Ordinary people actively participated in the debates, some of whom shared that, despite everything, Pyramid Lake is famous for good fishing and its secluded atmosphere. Some recounted personal experiences, mentioning that they had been there at night, observing the water's surface in silence under the warm glow of the moon. Despite numerous hypotheses and attempts to explain what happened, the mystery remains unresolved. While some seek answers by uncovering the secrets of past eras or believing it to be a hidden military site, others simply enjoy the aura of mystery. Pyramid Lake continues to attract more enthusiasts of the unusual and mystical, becoming the subject of new rumors and legends. This region was once called the Galilean Sea, mentioned in biblical chronicles, where extraordinary events took place that are still debated today. Archaeologists suggest that humans have inhabited this area since the 20th century BC. Research on the remnants of buildings found during excavations includes tools, weapons, clothing, and mummies, artifacts that are sometimes even more mysterious than the shadowy figure on the map. Fascinating natural phenomena, such as ice patterns, also attract the admiration of scientists worldwide. These intricate and whimsical formations appear when there is a sudden change in ground and air temperatures. Water from beneath the Earth's surface emerges and freezes into billions of tiny ice spikes, creating an astonishing, artistically drawn, ornamental covering. In harsh climates, such icy patterns appear annually, pushing stones aside and forming unique natural sculptures. They resemble incredible paintings, as if taken from the surface of Mars, serving as clear evidence that oceans once existed on the red planet and that its soil contains clues about moisture retention. At night, when temperatures drop, vapor rises from the surface of Mars, forming tiny ice spikes that over millennia craft elegant patterns, nature's wonder that captivates scientists' imaginations. Among the major discoveries in recent years is the finding of two new minerals previously unknown on Earth, further confirming how astonishing and unexplored our planet remains. The origin of this mysterious object proved even more extraordinary in its form and the stories it inspires. It involves a massive meteorite that fell in the Somali desert and was discovered near the small town of Lali. Its size is impressive. The length of this cosmic body approaches 2 meters. Its width is about 1.5 meters, and its height is nearly 1 meter. The weight of such a natural formation reaches approximately 16.5 tons, making it one of the largest meteorites ever to have fallen to Earth. The entire history of this space object underscores its significance. It ranks among the top 10 largest meteorites in human observation history. Experts believe that upon entering Earth's atmosphere, this meteorite would have caused an effect comparable to a major explosion, a grand and destructive event capable of leaving a noticeable mark on the region's history. However, surprisingly, no documentary evidence of such an explosion or large-scale catastrophe from that time has been recorded. This gives rise to several hypotheses. Perhaps the meteorite remained buried underground for a long time, hidden beneath the surface, and only a chance discovery by a mining company engaged in searching for rare minerals brought it to light. After the find, a small sample of this meteorite was sent to the University of Alberta, where scientists began studying it. Under laboratory conditions, using a modern electronic microscope, they discovered two new minerals within this cosmic stone that were previously unknown to contemporary science. A member of the research team, Chris Hurt, did not hide his excitement and admiration. He noted that, to date, approximately 4,000 different minerals are known on Earth, and the discovery of two new ones is indeed a significant breakthrough in mineralogy. In the future, these minerals could find applications in various technologies or industries. However, there is also a possibility that they could open new horizons in science. Scientists suspect that a third, previously undiscovered mineral might be hidden inside the meteorite. Currently, the research continues, and each new analysis brings scientists closer to solving this cosmic mystery. The story of the Somali meteorite's origin is more than just an account of a stone falling from the sky. It is a reminder of the universe's infinity, full of enigmas yet to be uncovered. Every new discovery is like a key to unlocking new secrets hidden in space. Another astonishing event took place in April 2022, when oceanographers aboard a research vessel, or rather, on board a high-tech submarine called Nautilus, made a genuinely sensational discovery on the Pacific Ocean floor. At a depth of about 1,300 meters, near the summit of the underwater volcano Nuka, they found something resembling a brick-paved trail. This strange pathway seemed to be laid straight on the seabed, with bends and shapes that gave the impression that someone or something had deliberately created it for travel or a mysterious passage. The event, broadcast live, captivated millions of viewers worldwide. It was no surprise, as it appeared to be a road leading somewhere to a sunken city, possibly the legendary Atlantis or something similar, an area that the oceans and centuries have left in the depths of their mysterious realm. The area where this structure was discovered is part of a vast underwater volcanic ridge, whose summit rises only about 60 meters above sea level. This means that part of this region is almost at the edge of immersion, and hence accessible for research. Experts studying this unusual trail initially speculated that it could be a natural formation, perhaps the result of overlapping geological processes shaping such structures. However, science remained cautious. There is no conclusive evidence that this pathway was artificially created, and no artifacts have been found confirming the existence of ancient ruins or other signs of civilization. Nevertheless, The presence of such a mysterious trail in the depths of the ocean continues to inspire scientists and explorers for further expeditions, as it reminds us that our underwater worlds are still full of secrets. That is why many hope and believe that ancient cities or remnants of civilizations are hidden beneath the waters, left behind from eras when the Earth was vastly different and perhaps more mysterious. While this discovery does not directly confirm the existence of sunken structures, it highlights the importance and potential of further underwater exploration. Every such find reminds us that incredible secrets lie beneath the waters, waiting to be uncovered, and that despite all scientific achievements, the ocean depths still hold many mysteries worthy of great discovery. In response to such findings and stories, it is interesting to recall a case from the 20s when, under international Antarctic programs, a vessel from one of the expeditions became trapped amid enormous ice fields right in the heart of Antarctica. The ship MV Akademik Shukalski, along with the crew of the Australo-Antarctic expedition, unexpectedly got stuck in the Antarctic ice and remained trapped for 10 full days, seemingly caught in an icy prison just before Christmas. The ship, specially prepared for such situations, was unable to free itself on its own, and the crew was forced to seek external help. Soon, a Chinese icebreaker capable of breaking through thick ice arrived on the scene, and when necessary, another vessel, an Australian ship, joined the effort. Previously, a French vessel had also attempted to reach the crew but was forced to retreat due to the extremely dense ice cover and the inability to break through. 42 people, scientists, engineers, tourists, and sailors, found themselves in a perilous situation, with no one able to confidently predict how it would end. The rescue operation was carried out from the air. Rescuers flew in on a helicopter to evacuate those in danger to safety. The ship itself, heading toward the small Hadmat Islands, became trapped as the surrounding waters rapidly froze. No one anticipated this moment in advance. The situation developed so quickly that ice sealed the vessel within hours. On Christmas Eve, the captain, concerned about the outcome, realized that hopes for self-rescue had already vanished. Although only 2 nautical miles from more open waters in just a few days, the ice conditions turned this distance into 20 nautical miles. A vivid demonstration of how swiftly and violently Antarctic ice can form and grow. Thanks to coordinated international efforts, the joint efforts of Chinese, Australian, and other services, the ship was finally freed from the icy grip. However, all of this was not just a rescue, but a genuinely heroic and risky operation, practically on the edge of danger. Another, less well-known but no less mysterious story unfolds in the Syrian desert, where in the 21st century, archaeologist Robert Mason from the Royal Ontario Museum encountered a strange discovery. Amidst the lifeless and darkly green surroundings, in a place that has long lost all resemblance to once fertile land, he uncovered the ancient Diarmaris Monastery, an edifice shrouded in secrets and mysteries. Nearby, scattered stones, unrelated to Roman or Christian eras, are estimated to be up to 10,000 years old. At a time when this now abandoned and barren land was still a lush and thriving paradise, these structures may have served as traps for Neolithic-era animals, possibly used for hunting in the dense savannas. The monastery itself, believed to have been built in the 1st century AD, holds many enigmas and secrets. It operated for many centuries and lasted until the 19th century, when earthquakes destroyed its architectural vaults and wall structures. However, efforts to restore and revive it only began in the 1990s. According to Mason, initially, this site likely served as a Roman outpost, a fortified structure intended to guard the eastern approaches to Damascus, across the desert expanses. In the ancient stonework and layers preserved within the monastery's structure, traces of these functions and evidence of its use across different eras can be found. All of this is a fragment of history, still preserved in stone and sand, pointing to the rich past of these lands. This ancient history, from the times of the Roman Empire to the footprints of hunter-tracker tribes, continues to come alive in the silence of ancient monuments, waiting for the moment when it will be revealed once again to humanity. In the 21st century, in the 21st year, scientists made an astonishing discovery in Antarctica that shocked the scientific community. After many years spent in quiet solitude among the exhibits of the National Museum of Natural History of Chile, a mysterious object held in its collections was finally identified. It turned out to be a giant egg laid by a marine reptile that lived during the late Cretaceous period, approximately 66 million years ago. When a research team from the University of Texas began studying this find, they determined that the length of the discovered egg was about 30 centimeters, making it the largest egg ever found among soft-shelled creatures. In fact, this egg is the second largest overall among all known animals, whether mammals, birds, or other species. This discovery provides a unique opportunity to understand the characteristics of ancient marine fauna, as well as shed light on the development of biological species during the age of dinosaurs and their marine relatives. Scientists are pleased and simultaneously astounded by such a discovery, as it confirms how amazing and diverse life was millions of years ago on our planet, and how many unexplored mysteries Antarctica still holds today. Researchers specializing in microfossils believe that this rare egg belonged to an ancient sea monster known as a mosasaur, a creature that once inhabited our oceans and has long since become extinct. The size of this fossilized object emphasizes how large these marine predators were, from which it remains. The shape of this egg resembles the eggs of modern lizards or snakes, but its dimensions greatly exceed those of any current reptiles. One could say it belonged to a true giant of the ocean depths, whose name and image have long been shrouded in mystery. According to researcher Lucas Leandra, this egg surpasses the size of a human head, whereas eggs of large modern reptiles are typically small enough to fit in the palm of a hand. Science has yet to definitively determine exactly which species this ancient egg belonged to. Nevertheless, all scientists agree that it is the remains of a prehistoric sea monster that once dictated its rules in the vast oceans. On the opposite side of the planet, on the continent of Antarctica, a group of researchers made an astonishing and important discovery. At one of the research sites, where continuous meteorite searches are conducted, they uncovered a cosmic stone possessing destructive properties capable of destroying an entire fleet. The recent find was a large chondrite, a meteorite lodged in thick layers of ice during the search. Weighing approximately 21 kilograms, this chondrite became the largest specimen found in East Antarctica in the past 25 years, making it particularly valuable for scientific research. Antarctica has long been considered one of the best places on Earth for searching for space rocks, as significantly more meteorites fall here than in other regions of the planet. Moreover, thanks to the contrast, even very small black stones are easily visible against the sparkling white ice. The size of this chondrite is slightly larger than a hockey puck, and it is just one of hundreds of such specimens collected during the expedition. Ultimately, the team of scientists gathered over 75 kilograms of meteorite fragments, with 4,200 samples carefully packed for further analysis in specialized laboratories. Thanks to the bright contrast of black space stones against the white ice, Antarctica has become a kind of treasure chest from space, where shards from the time when they fell to Earth millions of years ago await researchers' analysis, shedding light on the secrets of the universe. As for further secret projects, reports indicate that governments plan to expand their underground bases to accommodate more new and significant developments. An exception here is the recently discovered base located near the site many associate with the legendary Area 51. According to analysts and enthusiasts studying alien technology and extraterrestrial civilizations, this location could serve as a powerful repository for outsider technologies, unexplored and hidden from the public. This news was announced by Scott Wiring, a self-proclaimed UFO expert and well-known researcher collaborating with Google Earth. He claims to have discovered a new underground facility approximately 90 kilometers northeast of Area 51, asserting that it might house technologies brought from other planets. According to him, one such base is situated beneath Pyramid Lake, another in a remote part of the Nevada desert. To support his theories, he used not only Google Earth data, which he believes is heavily censored by authorities, but also satellite images from other sources. Some of these images clearly show massive sliding doors, resembling hangar doors for interplanetary spacecraft, located right among the sands and rocks of the desert terrain. These findings only reinforce the conviction that secrets are hidden beneath the Earth, intriguing various researchers and supporters of extraterrestrial technology theories. One of the most mysterious and intriguing puzzles of modern times. If I had to find the perfect site for parking a star cruiser, I would definitely choose this location. It seems so suitable that it's hard to imagine anything better. This is how a recently discovered mysterious object in the area is described by a representative. He is confident that his find is like a site made specifically for deploying an intergalactic ship. In addition to the object itself, researchers and mystery enthusiasts paid attention to the sand dunes that partially conceal it from prying eyes, as if hiding something important and unusual. Scott believes that these sand mounds are more likely a screen hiding evidence pointing to secret government experiments. He is convinced that such earthen heaps could serve as temporary graves for more or less broken or outdated extraterrestrial technologies, buried here temporarily to hide them from outsiders. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, his belief in the existence of secret objects beneath Nevada is growing stronger, as he thinks that a whole network of underground tunnels has been launched there. He suspects that within these tunnels, as part of a highly secretive super-scientific project, the US authorities are engaged in decoding and studying technologies obtained from alien ships. And what do you think is hidden deep within the American deserts? Is it possible that humanity is working on restoring and mastering extraterrestrial technologies underground, far from the eyes of the public? There is currently no definitive answer to all these questions. However, anyone with just a computer and some free time to explore Google Earth satellite images can witness something astonishing that has remained hidden from view for nearly a decade. Growing interest in military secrets has led, among other things, to leaks of information about new technologies. Today, it becomes increasingly clear that Google Maps is turning into a sort of unwelcome observer of modern times. While the US military quietly and secretly conducts its research, internet satellite images relentlessly monitor progress, particularly the development of a modern stealth drone under the code name Manta Ray. This underwater robot, designed for covert movement beneath the water surface, is nearly as quiet and effective as its best equivalents. Conceptual images of this device, revealed through DARPA projects, are astonishing. An aerodynamically shaped hull, wide fins, and an elongated tail make it almost invisible in the depths of the ocean. Developed by Sevro-G, this technology is capable of operating for extended periods without recharging or human intervention. Manta Ray can dive deep into enemy waters, conduct round-the-clock surveillance, and deploy small unmanned vehicles, posing a serious threat to adversary naval operations. All these drones and sensors operate silently, making them virtually undetectable. What is particularly remarkable is that the device is fully autonomous, capable of independently performing its missions without endangering human lives. This opens up broad possibilities for conducting missions in the most inaccessible and dangerous locations without risking crew safety. It is also known that manta ray can enter a state of hibernation or anabiosis, attaching itself to rocks on the seabed and waiting for a signal to wake up. Imagine numerous such robotic rays lying dormant in the deepest parts of the ocean, ready to awaken at any moment for surveillance, reconnaissance, or attack. They can be likened to invisible guardians of the ocean depths. However, recently, something unusual and unexpected happened that challenges the secrecy of these developments. Despite all the measures to preserve confidentiality, some observers claimed to have spotted a prototype of manta ray on Google Maps. Near a military facility in Port Hueneme, California, a mysterious object resembling a ray was recorded moored at a pier. This enigmatic object could indeed be a specialized machine, an authentic manta ray, or simply a boat covered with a tarp that at the time appeared unusual and drew attention. It remains unknown what exactly was captured in the images. It could indeed be a prototype, or a clever disguise for technology still in testing. Nevertheless, the entire online community maintained a firm confidence in their assumptions and guesses. Some expressed the opinion that government agencies are conducting covert experiments related, in their view, to deep-sea research. However, a vast number of researchers and analysts suggested that this is only the tip of an enormous iceberg, and that beneath the water, a whole fleet of unmanned underwater vehicles is operating, capable of silently patrolling the ocean floor. If this is truly the case, future battle zones might shift not into the air or on land, but rather into the depths of ocean wave horizons. There, in dark, invisible layers of water labyrinths, unseen automated systems quietly but effectively fight. Recently, a chain of mysterious caves was discovered in Antarctica. Either natural or man-made, the question remains open, where, according to scientists, the temperature is stable enough to support life. Inside these caves, there is a possibility of existing both plant and animal forms. But what exactly is hidden within these icy formations still remains a mystery, unrevealed to the human eye. Australian researchers from a well-known university completed a series of expeditions, uncovering new, interesting facts. Beneath the ice sheet of Antarctica, in the depths of an ancient volcano, Erebus, unique caves were discovered. They formed under the influence of hot steam erupting from deep within the mountain massif, creating a complex network of tunnels, galleries, and caverns. Thanks to the constant heat, these natural structures provide favorable conditions. Temperatures sometimes reach 25 degrees, and sunlight filtering through the thinnest layer of ice creates an illusion of sunlight for the plants, essential for photosynthesis. Scientists suggest that mosses, algae, small invertebrates, and perhaps even tiny inhabitants not yet discovered by science could originate and develop in such karst systems. However, all of this remains only a hypothesis, the mystery waiting to be unraveled by a researcher. It is possible that only after penetrating inside and documenting this under-ice world will it become clear what diversity of life is hidden within these icy labyrinths. Russia, as part of its new military political campaign, is actively exploring the past, revealing many secrets related to the Cold War era. One of the key discoveries was the identification of an underground base for storing submarines located in the city of Balaclava, on the Crimean Peninsula. There are numerous rumors in society that after years of neglect, Moscow has shown interest in a mysterious object known by the code name Object 48294. This base has long remained a forgotten and decaying shelter, later transformed into a museum that once hosted family excursions. During those years, one could see rusting submarines and nuclear relics of another era. However, according to Ukrainian activists and independent observers, the final days of the museum's golden age have arrived. Floating barriers have been installed at the harbor entrance, which has become evident to those monitoring changes at the site. These measures indicate that Russia is upgrading this strategic location, transforming it from a museum exhibit into a fully functional military stronghold. Construction began as early as 1961, and the site resembled the hideout of villains from James Bond movies. A narrow tunnel, over 550 meters long, was drilled directly into the rock, allowing submarines to quickly and discreetly enter and exit. Soviet engineers dreamed of creating an impregnable fortress capable of withstanding even a nuclear strike, so that in the event of a global conflict, it could serve as a shelter to wait out the end of the world. However, an ordinary apartment or house is no longer capable of providing such protection. Signs of the base's revival first became noticeable in 2022, when some Ukrainian sources reported an unusual structure appearing at the entrance. Thus, this strategic point is attracting increasing attention and becoming the subject of numerous theories and speculations. Given that Ukrainian naval drone attacks are causing significant damage to the Russian naval base in Sevastopol, the question naturally arises about the need for measures to ensure the security of the Russian fleet. As a result, the country's leadership is seeking to create a reliable shelter for its ships and submarines, capable not only of protecting them from external threats, but also of being highly explosion-proof to prevent potential destruction in case of an attack. However, according to esteemed military expert John Skadely, whose opinion merits careful consideration, the existing base is likely no longer used for deploying submarines. The reason is that modern submarines, such as the Kilo class, are larger and more complex in design, so the tunnels and shelters built earlier are probably incompatible in scale and durability. Instead, Russia may have repurposed these hangars for storing surface ships, thus trying to avoid drawing attention from enemy naval drones, a weapon that causes increasing concern and surprise in this conflict. Because it is precisely this invisible and sometimes extremely strange weapon that is being used today at sea. Unmanned vehicles capable of penetrating the most heavily protected zones and delivering sudden strikes. What awaits us further in this field? Perhaps we'll return to even more bizarre stories. For example, legends about Soviet spy pigeons, which are now gaining popularity again, thanks to TikTok trends inspired by KGB activities. Or maybe we will encounter something much more inexplicable, such as a surprising discovery in the depths of Antarctica that will send shockwaves through the internet based on only blurred images on Google Maps. One individual, carefully examining satellite images, found a mysterious square shadow lurking among the ice. This find sparked a variety of theories and hypotheses, from a hidden door leading to a forgotten Nazi base, to a secret US government headquarters, or perhaps the dwelling place of ancient icy gods. Many wondered, could it simply be a camera glitch or an optical illusion? But regardless, such assumptions quickly spread online and became something of an internet meme. The post instantly went viral, sparking a wave of new legends suggesting that after World War II, the Nazis supposedly fled to the edge of the world, to the icy depths of Antarctica, where they created underground bases. After all, it's not surprising that the coldest and most dangerous continent on Earth could serve as a refuge for secret experiments or hidden facilities. However, this idea is not without foundation, since in 1938, Hitler did indeed dispatch an expedition to Antarctica. But the purpose of that expedition was entirely different. It was not about constructing bunkers, but about harvesting whale oil, essential for powering various devices and mechanisms of Nazi technology at the time. After the war ended in 1944, many questions arose. What if not all Nazis were destroyed, and some managed to escape and hide in the icy expanses? Perhaps they managed to build complex underground complexes equipped with aircraft, laser weapons, and even, according to rumors, the world's first gluten-free coffee shops to satisfy the most discerning tastes. This hypothesis is supported by reports of German submarines spotted near the coast of Argentina immediately after the hostilities concluded. Thus arose the popular, albeit highly fantastical legend that Hitler did not die in his bunker, but instead took refuge in the frozen southern part of the planet. And although scientists spent nearly 10 years debunking this version, thoroughly discrediting it, studies of the teeth and skull of the High Chancellery confirmed that Adolf Hitler indeed died in April 1945 in Berlin. No biological evidence of ice caves or secret doppelgangers has been found, although there is a possibility that someone is capable of mimicking appearances and deceiving science. But so far, all traces unambiguously point to the fact that the Führer did not survive and died according to the official version. As for the mysterious square shadow in the icy expanse of Antarctica, experts assess its nature in different ways. For example, a marine geologist named Colin Summerhaces almost shakes his head and believes that theories about top-secret bases originated from military experiments conducted in Germany based on cutting-edge technology of that time. After all, modern aviation and rockets created by Nazi Germany later became an inspiration for developing experimental aerial vehicles and even unusual theories about UFOs. Some researchers are convinced that the interest in mysterious objects, UFOs, stems from those very technological experiments initiated by the Nazis and continued after the war. Thus, despite the multitude of various versions and legends, nothing definite has yet been established. The story that the Nazis escaped to Antarctica and established secret bases there remains part of modern myths and conspiracy theories, fueled by curiosity about mysterious and inexplicable phenomena. And while specialists fall silent, the scientific community only emphasizes that most of these versions are products of imagination and attempts to explain the unknown with hypotheses once deemed incredible. After the fall of the war, rumors appeared that no one felt the need to spread before. Now, however, these stories took on increasingly bizarre and mysterious forms, akin to shades of long-forgotten science fiction styles. It was said that leading scientists of Germany, carrying secret blueprints of unusual flying devices, so-called flying saucers, disappeared into the icy, lifeless wastelands of the polar deserts. Some claimed that their disappearance was connected to a secret base hidden in the most remote corners of Antarctica, which could be not a Nazi laboratory at all, but something far more mysterious. What if these distant depths conceal the entrance to the mythical Agartha, a legendary underground city of ancient or gifted beings? Does it really exist? Or perhaps it is merely a vast icy cave that appears less impressive but, in terms of likelihood, is more plausible. There are also those who insist that behind this mysterious entrance lies the headquarters of alien observers living in their icy home in the distant reaches of space, far from human attention and bustle. But where does this mysterious door, frozen in eternal icy darkness, actually lead? The answer to this question remains enveloped in a multi-layered halo of secrets, hidden deep within thousands of years' worth of Antarctic ice layers, which may conceal a city of the immortal. It is extremely difficult to say with certainty what this mysterious object truly is. Some compare it to an eternal city, as it is called in honor of the legendary Rome, a city where for centuries countless stories, monuments, and enduring values have intertwined. In the East, there is a city that deserves the same fame. This is an ancient metropolis located in the territory of present-day Turkmenistan, now reduced only to ruins. Even today, when only the remnants of a once majestic city remain, Margiana continues to hold a place in people's hearts. For 1,000 years, it was a major cultural and political center of the region. Despite destructions and years of obscurity, its legacy persists both in theory and in legend. A city whose history dates back more than 8,000 years initially was a small settlement belonging to the Bactrian culture, an area renowned for the harmonious coexistence of agriculture and animal husbandry, which brought prosperity to the entire region. Gradually, this village grew into a mighty city that became a hub of civilization, long before the emergence of Rome and other well-known megalopolises. Over many centuries and dynasties, Margiana remained a strategically vital nexus. In the 6th century BCE, it was conquered by the Persians of the Achaemenid dynasty and became part of their vast empire. In ancient Persian texts, the city was mentioned as Murul. In subsequent centuries, during the Hellenistic period, it was seized by Alexander the Great, who renamed it Alexandria. Later, under the Seleucid rule, the city took the name Antiochia Morganica. Over the centuries of changing rulers, from Greco-Arabs to Parthians and Sassanids, the city maintained its status, continually developing and strengthening. By the 5th century BCE, it had already become a Buddhist city flourishing under the influence of new religious and cultural movements. Its peak was reached when it gained a reputation as a major cultural and religious center, attracting monks, scholars, and travelers from all over the world. Its fame spread, faith was strengthened, and the city became wealthy and renowned. But as often happens with legendary places, its glory was overshadowed by the relentless march of history. In 1921, the city was brutally destroyed and looted during the invasion of the Mongols led by Genghis Khan, who brought death and destruction to millions of its inhabitants. After that, MVA was completely wiped off the face of the earth, and its residents were scattered across the world, marking the end of its golden age. In the following centuries, the city was in a state of constant instability, changing owners and fates until in 1785, the Persian ruler, Shamarat, finally destroyed it, forcing its last inhabitants to leave their homes forever. Today, only ruins remain of this majestic city, and even a single coffee shop bearing its name has long disappeared from the map. However, the legacy of this legendary place continues to live on in hundreds of historical chronicles, stories, legends, and in the hearts of those who remember its glorious years. MV is a city that cannot simply be called a city. It can be considered immortal, a bright symbol of eras, cultural achievements, and human resilience. For it is forever calling those who seek truth and meaning in the story of human existence to its ruined yet great streets. Deep in the dark zones of the Cuban Ocean lies an inaccessible and mysterious place, like an invisible island that has disappeared from the human world. This sunken city is shrouded in an aura of mystery and untold stories, reminiscent of an abandoned capital of an ancient mermaid kingdom surrounded by legends. Discovering this sunken complex became a true intellectual challenge for scientists, most of whom initially doubted its existence, believing such evidence to be merely fantasy or the result of data errors. Everything changed in the year 2000 when the Canadian company Advanced Digital Communications first began exploring the seafloor off the coast of Cuba. During their work, they encountered unusual structures that immediately drew the attention of specialists. Sonar images obtained with modern technology revealed carefully arranged stone blocks, exhibiting obvious symmetry and organization, unlike natural formations. A year later, this discovery was followed up by a team of marine engineers led by Polina Zalitsky and her husband Polensak, who sent a remotely operated vehicle, a robot capable of live filming, to the depths. Over extensive study, the obtained footage confirmed the unusual nature of the find. Massive granite slabs, some up to 3 meters long and about 2.5 meters wide, were laid as if someone had deliberately placed them. Some of these stones were stacked on top of each other, forming structures resembling ancient pyramids, steps, or platforms. it was clear that such neat arrangements could not have arisen through natural forces. An artificial origin was unmistakably present. Who, how, and why created this massive complex remained a mystery. Polina and Polensak are convinced that the age of this structure exceeds 6,000 years, making it older than the known Egyptian pyramids. They hypothesize that in the past, possibly during the Trojan era, or even an earlier civilization, it was a major city on land that was eventually submerged due to powerful volcanic and geological processes. In their view, this could have been caused by a global catastrophe akin to the legendary Atlantis. However, despite the efforts of proponents of this hypothesis, opinions among experts remain divided. Some experts, such as geologist Manuel from the Cuban Museum of Natural History, argue that the find is too deep, and answering questions about its origin requires a significant chronological interval. He believes that reaching such depths, more than 6,000 years ago, would have taken at least 50,000 years, since corresponding tectonic processes occur over that time span. In turn, Zalitsky countered that the city might not have been located at the exact site of today's discovery, but on a 1,000-kilometer land bridge connecting the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico with Cuba, which has since disappeared due to sea waves and Earth movements. Despite the existence of disputed opinions and scientific disagreements, one fact remains undeniable. The neat, orderly stone blocks found on the seabed continue to be a mystery, unresolved to this day. Questions about the origin of this structure, its purpose, and age require further research. Perhaps inside this mysterious sunken complex lies some ancient military base or strategic facility left on the ocean floor. Examples close to home, in the United States, indicate that underwater secrets are not always hidden beneath ice or deep within mountains. For instance, beneath the surface of the famous Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia, for decades, the luxurious hotels symbolized wealth and high society, offering guests refined leisure with golf and exquisite shrimp cocktails. However, beneath its bright and opulent exterior was one of America's most secretive military historical mysteries. During the Cold War, a clandestine bomb shelter was built here, called the Greek Island. This structure was meticulously designed to protect all 535 members of Congress in the event of a nuclear conflict. In case of an attack on Washington and its surroundings, politicians could be evacuated to the depths of this bunker, which was equipped with comfortable living conditions, special bedrooms, conference halls, and even its own television broadcasting. The secret history of this complex was only revealed in 1992, when the Washington Post published a sensational story. The bunker was soon closed, and now it has become part of an elite hotel. Thus, a military facility hidden from the public eye vanished, preserved within luxurious corridors and rooms. Tourists traveling through ancient and modern corners of the world might someday stumble upon abandoned beds once intended for high-ranking officials, legislators, and rulers. While much of humanity might vanish into radioactive dust or fall victim to a nuclear catastrophe, these places have maintained their authenticity and mystery to this day. And it is not only they that attract adventurers' attention. There are other amazing and sometimes incredible places in the world that seem to be straight out of science fiction. For example, in Norway, there is a unique structure, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, an embodiment of the idea of storing seeds from all known agricultural crops on the planet. Essentially, it is a giant archive of genetic resources, where seeds are meticulously preserved to ensure humanity's survival in the event of a global catastrophe. Visually, it resembles something out of a futuristic film, a massive underground complex, as if hidden deep within a glacier mountain, not far from the Arctic Circle. Many believe such places are part of a global doomsday bunker system designed to save the most influential and well-off individuals in case of an apocalypse. Remarkably, some of these shelters can be seen right now through satellite images on internet maps, such as Google Maps. They show mysterious traces, square scorched patches in the desert, strange geometric patterns on deserted territories. These objects have sparked numerous hypotheses among enthusiasts of mysteries. They could be radar stations, test sites for unmanned aerial vehicles, or even landing sites for unidentified flying objects known as UFOs. Or perhaps they are merely natural phenomena or human-made structures hidden from prying eyes. In our era of active satellite monitoring and widespread information access, hardly any secret location can remain unnoticed. Even those spots at the bottom of the ocean or in the wild desert are unlikely to escape observation. Just zoom out and look at the map. Who knows, perhaps in some forgotten place among hills or in the depths of the ocean abyss, you might stumble upon an astonishing and mysterious phenomenon. Returning to the ancient Roman era, from Libya and other parts of the Mediterranean, it is worth recalling a situation that somewhat resembles our modern traffic problems. When, in 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius erupted, destroying the city of Pompeii, the residents of the Roman capital faced a similar issue: congested streets and constant traffic jams. The authorities of that time found an unconventional but quite effective solution, which even Henry VIII or Napoleon would have been surprised by or respected. Archaeologists discovered that large stones had been placed in the city center to serve as obstacles for four-wheeled carts. Professor Endres Hadriel from Cambridge University notes that such measures were taken to maintain order and safety in residential areas. In Pompeii, for instance, on the famous Via dell'Abbondanza, the streets were narrowed and stones were used as landmarks, allowing people to easily navigate and avoid chaos and congestion. This approach was not accidental and demonstrated a deep understanding of urban life and the necessity of maintaining order. Even some well-known Roman poets, such as Juvenal, occasionally expressed dissatisfaction with the noise coming from chariots, especially at night. The loud clatter and sounds of wheels disturbed the peace and tranquility of the citizens, sometimes even interrupting the sleep of emperors and high officials. Therefore, strict regulations were introduced in Pompeii. Restrictions on the movement of four-wheeled vehicles along the main streets of the city, especially near important government and cultural centers like the Forum. These measures helped reduce noise and dust, as well as improve the overall quality of urban life, demonstrating that even 3,000 years ago, the Romans understood the importance of organization and order in the cityscape. This approach created conditions capable of providing a much calmer and safer environment for people. More than 2,000 years ago, the Romans clearly understood the influence that noise and urban congestion could have on daily life. In those distant times, small stone barriers in Pompeii were not merely historical memories. They served as vivid evidence of progressive ideas in urban planning. Proper space organization and transportation restrictions helped maintain order and tranquility in the city, ideas that modern city planners still strive to implement today. These ancient developments have not lost their relevance even now. After all, the fundamental principles of regulating urban environments have remained unchanged for centuries. Moving on to more astonishing stories, it is worth recalling that in the French glacier, in the year 1303, a truly unique find was discovered. A treasure that can genuinely be called extraordinary. During an autumn ascent of Mont Blanc, one of the climbers came across a metal box covered by a layer of ice. Inside, there were emerald, sapphire, and ruby gemstones, which had lain frozen in the ice block for over 50 years. Experts determined that all these valuables belonged to an Indian airliner that crashed in the same year, the year 1913, in the 20th century. Specialists estimated the value of the discovered gemstones at approximately $340,000. The climber emphasized that he handed over the entire treasure to local authorities and followed French law, returning the artifacts to the state. This noble act was recognized with a worthy reward. 8 years later, by decision of the relevant authorities, he was awarded 50% of the value of the find, about $169,000. These stones and metals not only tell a tragic story of a disaster that claimed the lives of more than 117 people, but also contain mysteries associated with Mont Blanc glaciers, where quiet, undisclosed secrets still rest. In another corner of the Earth, on the scorching sands of the Arabian Peninsula and southwest Iran, one of the most astonishing reptiles appears more and more slowly and gradually. A miniature snake capable of surviving in conditions that seem almost uninhabitable. This small reptile is the Arab sand boa, or more commonly known as the gyari of Erica. Its tiny size, about 40 centimeters in length, allows it to adapt perfectly even to the harshest desert areas. While it is difficult for humans to endure the relentless heat, this snake feels quite comfortable in such conditions. It easily glides over the soft sand, as if enjoying the warm breeze that perpetually blows through the desert air. A distinctive feature of this snake is its large, bulging eyes located on the top of its head. They can be compared to plastic beads glued onto a toy snake, so unusual and amusing. Some say that its slightly goofy facial expression arouses excitement and a smile in onlookers, and its seemingly pointless appearance sometimes even distracts potential prey, making them forget about any danger. But one should not be deceived. These incredible eyes are its primary hunting tools. Gyari Erica can fully burrow into the sand, leaving only her prominent eyes visible on the surface, remaining invisible to the outside world. When a prey animal, usually lizards with short fingers or worm-like snakes, appears on the horizon, she strikes swiftly and attacks. At that moment, the prey has no idea that just moments earlier it was being watched by these unusual eyes hidden beneath the sand. Despite its amusing size and appearance, growing to only 40 centimeters, this creature is generally completely safe for humans, as it does not possess venomous or other life-threatening components. Even newborn snakes emerging from their eggs pose no danger. Their teeth are not yet sharp enough to cause harm, and it takes about 9 weeks after hatching for them to mature and learn how to navigate the desert environment. Then they begin seeking food independently with the help of their mother, who assists them in emerging from the sand, as it is still difficult for the tiny snakes to overcome its depth and evade their own vulnerability. Fortunately, despite all fears, this species is not under threat of complete extinction. They still inhabit the vast expanses of the Arabian deserts, hiding under the hot sand and stones that reach impossible temperatures during the day and are entirely independent of human assistance. These creatures serve as living evidence of bygone eras and have been discovered thanks to fossil remains dating back to the Cold War period, when the world was embroiled in intense struggles for dominance and strategic advantage. In those years, a secret project called Iceworm was launched in the United States. As part of this clandestine military endeavor during the Cold War, a section of land beneath the ice in northwest Greenland was excavated, a place hidden from sight even from the pockets of ordinary geographers. There, buried under a massive ice sheet, they built a nuclear missile base and developed launch systems designed specifically to target the Soviet Union with missile attacks. This operation remained secret for many decades, and only contemporary observers can imagine how risky the decision must have seemed to American military personnel at the time, given the extreme measures taken. The idea of constructing a secret base in the icy wastes sounds like the plot of a spy novel or a movie, but it was a real project, with its own advantages and challenges. Ultimately, the plan proved unsuccessful. The base built under the Iceworm project was abandoned quietly, along with the ice cores extracted during its construction. At that time, these core samples held little value and were stored for a long time in a freezer in distant Denmark, forgotten and unused. It was only nearly 20 years later, in 1919, that a group of scientists decided to re-examine the previously discovered samples. The results of their work were astonishing. Among the cores, they found fossilized plant remains, evidence that millions of years ago, this region supported flora that has since disappeared. These findings confirmed a long-standing hypothesis that Greenland was not always covered by a multi-kilometer-thick ice sheet. In fact, for many years, it was believed that the giant ice sheet of this island had existed for around 3 million years. But new data indicates that over the last 2,600 years, Greenland repeatedly shed its ice cover, transforming into tundra, only for ice to accumulate once again and cover the continent. Meanwhile, long before our time, in the ancient lands of Mesopotamia, a unique magical culture took root, one that still captivates the imaginations of historians, archaeologists, and enthusiasts of antiquities today. Long before the events associated with Hogwarts magical schools, the Salem witch trials, and certainly long before people began actively purchasing crystals or charms from online stores, in the brightest center of ancient civilization, Mesopotamia, its rulers governed their own magical laws and traditions. On clay tablets created by talented artisans several millennia ago, the origins of magical thinking and rituals have been preserved, revealing directly before our eyes doors into an extraordinary world inhabited by sorcerers, witches, ceremonial rites, exorcisms, and mysterious figurines endowed with supernatural power, as well as the lights of mysterious shrines and a demon named Pizu. Approximately 700 years before our era, a skilled master devised a special ritual known as Mushu, a unique guide to exorcism and protection from evil spirits. This ancient scroll contains over 100 spells, detailed descriptions of ceremonies, and recommendations for dealing with spirits and attracting benevolent forces. In those times, magic and religion were inseparable. Magical knowledge permeated all areas of human life. If someone experienced nightmares filled with images of demonic creatures, they would seek help from an exorcist or shaman. Those who felt cursed were advised to burn a doll or a witch's effigy, thus casting out evil. Conversely, pregnant women dreaming of fantastic creatures, for example Asnob, would use protective amulets and charms, such as Pizu, to ensure the safety and health of their unborn child. Elders and early writers in Mesopotamia not only invented the wheel and the first cities, but also believed that the world was populated by both good and evil supernatural forces. Essentially, they paved the way for the development of science and magic, while also offering sacrifices to spirits from the subterranean realm in the name of protecting people and achieving prosperity. In that ancient world, science and magic were regarded as two sides of the same coin, intertwined with each other. Today at the Louvre Museum, there is a unique artifact, a clay tablet considered one of the rarest witnesses to ancient beliefs and magic. It is not a metal plate or fragment, but a true clay disc with relief patterns resembling ancient maps of underground worlds and the afterlife realms. These images allow us to touch the mysteries of the ancients and understand the role that magic and supernatural forces played in the lives of humanity's earliest people. This is not merely an image on an album cover. Before you is a small bronze figurine engraved with ancient spells related to magic rituals for exorcising evil spirits. On one side of the figurine is depicted the sun god Utu, represented as a divine observation chamber, like a theatrical spectator watching the lives of people and spirits. Surrounding him are 7 demons, each carrying souls to the realm of the dead, creating an image of magical judgment and the world of darkness. On the bed, as if in a frozen plea, lies a person subjected to dark forces. Inside this ritual scene, 2 sorcerers dressed in garments made from the image of a fish perform a series of magical rites amidst the dim glow of flickering flames, creating a mystical atmosphere. Later, this image, as well as the figurine itself, gained notorious fame through films depicting battles with demons and their expulsion from human souls. However, in reality, the story of Pizu, this small bronze amulet, is much older and richer in meaning. It was originally revered as a sacred Sumerian creature guarding women and infants from the demon Lamashtu, a sinister being that abducted and devoured children. The image of this divine helper was a powerful symbol of protection. With a lion's head and mighty shoulders, it embodied strength, armor, and security. Pizu, with wings and a scorpion tail, was used to combat evil spirits and as a means of guarding against the invasion of dark forces. The tablet, depicting the underworld, is a vivid testament to how deeply ancient Sumerians were interested in mystical powers, demons, and magic. About 1/3 of all surviving texts in Akkadian cuneiform are dedicated to magical rituals, omens, and supernatural phenomena, indicating a high level of their magical culture. Essentially, a library of spells, divinations, and mystical discourses. What is most remarkable is that the Sumerians had special temple schools designed to train exorcists and healers, primary specialists in magic and medicine. These educational institutions were the first in history to combine science and magic. They taught the preparation of various potions, the mastery of ancient incantations, diagnosis of possession symptoms, and even conducted exams on demon anatomy, demonstrating a deep practical knowledge in human and magical health. At the beginning of the 21st century, in January 2022, a very unusual case related to historical heritage occurred in the Spanish town of Frel. During the renovation of one of the buildings, an astonished workforce discovered a bomb from the Civil War era, bringing dark pages of the past back to memory. One of the present was an elderly local man who had survived that period. He recalled how, as a 6-year-old child, his house was bombed by fascist aircraft. He noted that some shells had failed to explode, leaving a heavy imprint on his memory. His vigilance and alertness helped prevent tragedy. He warned the workers of the potential danger. As a result, the work was immediately halted, and sappers with metal detectors were called to the site. The specialists found a huge bomb dropped by the Italian Air Force in support of Franco, which had peacefully lain in place for over 80 years without any movement. The potential of this explosive device was so great that its detonation could have destroyed the entire house and caused terrible destruction around it. At that moment, thanks to timely human intervention, his childhood memories and vigilance saved an entire neighborhood from possible catastrophe. Equally remarkable was a case related to archaeological research. In the white sands of New Mexico's National Park, scientists discovered traces from the Ice Age that tell about the distant past of the Earth. These pristine sands preserved footprints of animals from bygone eras, giant sloths, dangerous wolves, ancient camels, and mammoths over 4 meters tall. However, what especially caught their interest were the traces of humans who traversed this territory thousands of years ago. Forensic analysis showed that at least one person had moved through these areas, and moreover, returned on the same day. Tracks of a person moving extremely fast while carrying a child were also found, indicating high speed and endurance walking. Thus, these discoveries help us understand how ancient ancestors lived, how they moved across the ancient land, and what dangers lurked along their path, merging stories of ancient nature and the mysteries of past human activity. The traces of ancient creatures found beneath the earth often intersected with the footprints of a giant sloth, an animal that seemingly stood on its hind legs to sniff the air, as if sensing the presence of unfamiliar humans. This discovery radically changed our understanding of the earliest human migrations into North America. Traditionally, it was believed that our ancestors arrived on the continent approximately 13,000 years ago, but new archaeological finds suggest that their movements could have taken place several thousand years earlier. Furthermore, even older evidence of human presence has been uncovered in a remote cave between Indian jungles. There, among the noisy, centuries-old mysterious capital, are cave paintings estimated to be over 10,000 years old. These depicted images help us better understand the way of life of our distant ancestors and provoke endless debates. But most of all, these discoveries raise a disturbing and complex question that concerns not only scientists, but also a wide audience interested in antiquity. Did the first humans encounter beings that could be called extraterrestrial? In the secluded corners of Goa and Chhattisgarh, on cliffs illuminated by the soft light of dawn, unusual drawings depict half-animals resembling humans and mysterious figures that seem to belong to a higher interstellar civilization. On the walls are images of discs floating in the air, groups of beings who, judging by their appearance, could be aliens seeking a landing site. All this is located among rocks and mountain peaks. Archaeologists, encountering such finds, are often at a loss and simply shrug in bewilderment, while proponents of the extraterrestrial influence hypothesis claim this is not just prehistoric art. These are mysteries carved in stone long ago, long before the emergence of modern humanity. They tell of cosmic travels and contacts. On these walls, besides the familiar scenes of deer hunting, depictions of people, and everyday life, there are anomalies, mysterious figures that are difficult to explain within the framework of conventional ancient cultures. Among them are drawings of strange beings resembling giraffes, which are rarely observed in India, as well as figures resembling kangaroos, animals not native to the Indian subcontinent. How could a Stone Age artist, living around 12,000 years ago, have depicted a kangaroo in one of the Indian caves? Perhaps he was inspired by images or stories of extraterrestrial beings, or maybe these artists traveled to distant planets with aliens. Among the numerous images, there are some that evoke especially profound surprise. Spheres, floating discs, and faceless silhouettes as if emerging from mysterious realms. Some figures are dressed in hoods, obscuring their outlines. Others hold objects that look very much like alien weapons or unusual tools unknown to us modern humans. If these images were once considered simple depictions of ancient people's observations, why do we see more and more representations of spaceships, aliens, and strange creatures in their art? Moreover, why do such drawings appear simultaneously on different continents? These mysterious figures and symbols are not exclusive to India. Similar images are found in distant Australia and other sacred sites around the world. For example, in Australian caves known as Woolina, there are rock paintings dating back to roughly the 5th millennium BC. In the well-known Blue Mountains, illustrations feature tall, humanoid figures with insect-like eyes and slender bodies. In Kakadu National Park, one can see figures with covered heads, as if guarding some ancient space, frozen in the distant past in their unmoving and mystic forms. How can we explain the astonishing fact that representatives of ancient societies, living in entirely different parts of the planet and separated by great distances, created images of the same extraterrestrial beings? Or perhaps these images reflect real events that took place at those times. Today's science persistently avoids acknowledging such a hypothesis and tends to be skeptical of these ancient sculptures and drawings. No researcher can precisely determine what these prehistoric artists actually saw. Were these merely fantasies inspired by nature? Or did they record unusual encounters with mysterious beings or objects? Perhaps they simply observed the sky and encountered mysterious ships that acted as gods or powerful beings. Or maybe their images are the result of misperception or even misinterpretation of natural phenomena. Or, as a hypothesis, they could have been experiencing incredible visions after consuming dangerous mushrooms gathered during their search for food. Regardless of the reason, these historical artifacts raise numerous questions and prompt deep reflection. They seem to leave us a precious message encoded in stone or paint, a message that might interest future generations. Our task today is to preserve and study this mysterious heritage, as it holds the keys to understanding what happened in ancient times. If you are interested in these secrets and mysteries of the past, feel free to share your thoughts and feedback in the comments. And since this topic is incredibly fascinating, it is important to stay tuned for further discoveries so as not to miss new exciting stories and theories. Until next time, and new amazing findings.